The Chennai Super Kings, defending champions, failed to make it to the playoffs in what's possibly the most bizarre season we've seen for CSK, starting with the captaincy saga to all sorts of incidents that carried on with them. Ambati Raidu's farcical retirement and non-retirement almost sums their season up. Let's look back at it with Ravi Shastri and Daniel Vettori, and let's try and start with the positives. And we can find positives, Dan, towards the end of the season at the top of the order.
Well, their first positive is they know Deepak Chahar will be back next year. So, I mean, that's the way that they'll see it through that lens, that they can instantly improve their team. And coupled with the fact of Gaikwad and Devon Conway, we talked about them being sort of Mike Hussey, Murali Vijay 2.0, and I think they bring a lot to the table. And that settles, I suppose, a lot of deliberations around where to go around your top order. So they'll look at that. I think the advancement of Mukesh Choudhary and Simarjeet Singh, I think those two will, those two players in particular, that they'll be happy with. So I think there's enough there to suggest optimism, and it seems strange to say, but if you look at that team, if you get Moeen Ali performing again, you bring Jadeja back, depends what happens to Dhoni, but more importantly, Deepak Chahar. So, yeah, if they hadn't had that game where they scored 133 in bizarre circumstances, I would say this is a team that would feel rightly confident around next season. But that just put a dent in my optimism for them.
I think it looks set, Ravi, that Conway and Ruturaj will play pretty much every game, or at least start the season next year. Is the rest of the batting good, or do they still need some sort of reinforcement for the likes of Ambati Raidu, Robin Uthappa, who aren't getting any younger?
I think they'll need one there, definitely. They'll need to look around who's younger, who's more contemporary, who's fitter, who can get in there. No problems at the top. I think that's it. Devon Conway is a terrific cricketer. I've watched him closely. He has the ability to adapt. He's got the temperament. He's a willing learner and will get better, with the way he finished off this IPL. So, and Ruturaj is, for me, captaincy material as well, in the long run, having captain Maharashtra. So they've got a lot of guys who are pretty settled. Now, what's happened with Jadoo, no one knows, because then that becomes a very important issue. Is he going to come back? Is he going to come back in a happy frame of mind and play? All those questions will need to be answered. As far as Raidu goes, that was not surprise at all, because when Raidu announces his retirement, pick up the paper after 2 days, then you know if it is actually true or not. So it's happened before, it's happened again, and we have still another 10 months for the next IPL to start.
All right, Ravi brings up the Jadeja point. This is speculative, but this team seems to have had some of their best games without Jadeja. Jadeja's also been missing as a player. You can always put that down to the pressures of captaincy, which clearly wasn't a happy relationship. Can this team do without Jadeja, if we have to entertain that? I mean, is that a big hole to fill, or has Shivam Dube's form this season given you reason to believe that this team can actually manage without Jadeja? Ravi?
No, I think that's big boots to fill. He's a top-class cricketer. He's on top of his game. I thought the responsibility of captaincy just weighed him down a bit, is, with the way he actually played his own game, whether with the bat or the ball, or, the timings of when he bowled. I thought he was a little reluctant as captain to really put that front foot forward when it came to bowling, which can happen. Sometimes you can get conservative, but fabulous cricketer, and I hope, they sit down, sort their problems out, because he's been a valuable asset for Chennai Super Kings over the years. And I'm sure this is a knee-jerk reaction, some things that happen, if anything has happened, that has happened in the heat of the moment and can be resolved, because he's a tremendous asset and very difficult to, fill those boots.
Is that if we assume that they need to almost win Jadeja back over, is that sort of top priority, Dan, or is it, no, it's all right, they can manage without him?
No, I don't. I think they can manage without him. I think Ravi's right. He's first choice in the Indian team, and you don't leave players out like that. And he's been such a big part of CSK for such a long period of time. And obviously the captaincy didn't sit well with him. I think it manifested itself mainly in his fielding. And when we speak of Jadeja as a fielder, we think he's almost unparalleled against other players. So I think he dropped catches. We haven't seen that before. So maybe it just needs some time apart to reset, and he comes back and fulfills his role. And in a lot of ways, whoever's captain next year manages him to get the best out of him.
Let's go to that then. Is it now almost a given that Dhoni has to captain another season? You've seen the fragility of the leadership in his absence, Ravi, and this is a strong, formidable franchise. Is it now almost a given that Dhoni must captain next season?
I think if he's playing, if Dhoni plays, he should captain, because it's difficult for another guy to come in, especially if he's an Indian player, to fill those boots with Dhoni still around on the cricket ground. It's not easy, because he's just the kind of personality he is, the kind of success he has, the kind of aura that goes with him, can intimidate any guy who takes over. And I'm sure Jadoo would have felt the same way. It's never easy. So I think if MS decides to play, then I think he should captain.
Now you have said that we shouldn't rule out Jadeja as a captain at a different time in future. But given what we've seen this season, do you have to almost start creating a new plan? And would that mean looking within and saying Moeen Ali could be a leader, Ruturaj Gaikwad could be a leader? Or do you go into the auction and we say, let's try and pick up, well, Ben Stokes we know is going to be of interest, but I don't know who else could be in that auction that they could say, now we need to find someone who could lead CSK whenever Dhoni is done, which is likely to be sooner rather than later.
I don't think Jadeja can be captain again. I think when that first happened, it looked like he was stepping back from it being too onerous on him as a performer, but it feels like it's slightly different to that now. So I think they'll move from there. I think Moeen Ali would be a fantastic option, particularly in the third year, when then again you're going to reset for a big option. Moeen Ali and MS Dhoni are very similar characters in terms of the calmness that they bring. So they may even wait till that next cycle to look at someone like Ruturaj, who potentially could be in the frame, but they won't be in a rush because they have MS. So they'll work out what he's doing next season, and then everything will fall into place after that.